Hey guys, Jcc2224 here, and welcome to another figure review, this time of the 1/100 scale Master Grade Char's Zaku 2 version 2. I love this figure. I really love this figure, and I want to do a detailed review of it because there's some things I really want to be specific on that I feel like some reviews really haven't been, especially on the Char Zaku 2. Now, of course, this is the Master Grade Zaku 2. It's a very infamous kit for being one of the best Master Grades, and I wouldn't really be able to compare it to many other Master Grades because I only have one other Master Grade, and that's the Gyaradoga. I'm more of a 1/144 scale collector, but I want to get a Master Grade of my favorite mobile suit in all of Gundam because hey, why not? It's my favorite mobile suit in all of Gundam, and this figure certainly does it justice. It has a very MS Igloo look to it, and it doesn't really go off the original animation much. It's more of a realistic, almost CGI interpretation of the Zaku 2, like MS Igloo. And of course, this was used for various other repaints of the Zaku 2, I should say recolors. It had the normal Zaku 2, the Mine Layer, the White Ogre from MS Igloo, like I just mentioned, and it just is great. It's a great model. It's a great figure. It does have a couple problems, one of which is very detrimental to the figure itself, and it has a couple stability issues. But other than that, it's pretty solid and pretty durable. It doesn't really shake around much. There's not a lot of plastic rattle to it that some models have. It's very durable. If someone would show this to me and say, oh, hey, look at this action figure that I totally didn't build, I would say, wow, I still know that's a Master Grade, but it feels a lot like an action figure you didn't build. Now, let's take a look at the details on this, because there's not a lot, actually. It's a very simplistic sculpt, but it still does a really great job of looking like the Char Zaku 2. I did paint the eye. That's the only part I decided to paint, and I painted it a more Gundam the Origin purple instead of the more traditional pink that Zaku 2s typically have. I just like the Origin purple a lot more, and the sticker didn't really do it for me. I didn't apply any stickers or decals to this figure. I just did my whole thing with it where, yay, I just like it built. I like just messing with it. I don't even think I put a Xeon symbol on it. I might go back and do that at least. But overall, the details are very nice and superb. I didn't paint align it because I'm actually not much of a fan of paint aligning, so this is pretty much a right out of the box and built Zaku 2 here. There really isn't any customizing done to it besides the color of the mono eye. You can see it has a few standard colors. You have a darker red, a more peachy red, you have a very nice, vibrant, rich red, and you have the various grays, and I think just various grays. There's the darker gray, there's the inner frame gray, and of course there's just gray and red. That's a Zaku for you. At least Char's Zaku. And taking a look at the tubes here, these were very interesting to build in the fact that they're very difficult to build. You have to pop out each individual tube, and you have to, that's easy enough, but you have to get it off of this huge rail. And the huge rail of plastic, they're really stuck in there. It took ages to get them out. But the end result's pretty nice. These tubes do use a spring, actually, and they stay in there fairly well. This one, a little iffy there. This is one of the few stability issues of the kit. It just doesn't like keeping the tube in there. Talking about play features of the model before we talk about articulation, if you turn his head, the mono eye moves along with it. Pretty common thing known about the Master Grade Zaku as well as the real Grade Zaku. Very cool feature. I really do enjoy that. It just does its job. It looks very convincing. The gears work really nice, way better than the real grade, and I have no problem with that. Also, you can lift up the cockpits here, and you can see a little pilot in there. Now, I did paint the pilot. That's another thing I did paint. I did paint Char Aznable himself. And you can barely see him in there. It's really dark, but there is Char in there, and there's a little seat. And if you pop off the backpack here, I'm not really going to show it off too much, but there is a little switch where you can switch the position of the seat to be either on the left side or the right side of the mobile suit. And that's a really cool feature. I am quite the fan of that. Non-body articulation does include these little thrusters on the back. They have various ball joints and hinges on them. The little guards there are also on their individual joints. I do appreciate that little detail. Shoulder pads can move in pretty much any way you want. They're on various ball joints and hinges, both of them. They work all fine. He doesn't really have any pistons or anything. He just has some basic joints throughout, but the simplicity of it is very nice. Now let's talk about the articulation. Now the head, you don't have to turn it and have the mono eye move. You can push it up just a little bit and you can turn it without the mono eye moving. I really appreciate that feature. So if you want the mono eye to be turned, but you want the head to be straight, boom, there you go, you can do it. And I really like that feature. The shoulders, they can move pretty well. They have a very fluid butterfly joint right there. In and out, forward, bicep swivel, double joint at the elbow there that goes in quite well. Ball joint at the hand as well as a hinge at the hand. Each finger, most of each finger has its own joint. That's a ball joint. And then all of these are on their own hinge at the base, as well as each knuckle is on a hinge. This finger is on its own ball joint at the base, as well as a hinge at the second knuckle. And that is for both hands. I don't believe he has any other hands either, so it's not like the Master Grade Gyaradoga, where you have optional trigger finger hands as well as articulated hands. You just have the hands you get there. For the waist, it's fair. You can get a fair amount of crunch. It does move side to side, but you got to be wary of that because you don't want to break your kit. Because these right here, the side skirts, they do have this little hinge. See that little clip there? There is a possibility that that can get stressed over time, and I really don't want this to be stressed over time. It's kind of difficult to get back in there, but once you do, you will see the use of that hinge. The hinge is used to get the side skirt all the way to the back. It's also on a ball joint here. Front skirts are on a ball joint. And then you just have a standard universal joint at the legs there. They move outward that much without disturbing that, and I really don't want to. And they move upward pretty well. Thigh swivel, of course, and then bend at the knee, all nice and good. And don't forget back here, you also do have some back skirt articulation if you need to use that for any particular reason. I don't see why. And then the feet have a lot of range. You can move them side to side. You can see this part of the foot is separate, and the back guard really likes sliding off. And I would be wary of that because you don't want it breaking. He also does have toe articulation, which is always appreciated. Now, with the main mobile suit out of the way, let's talk about some of the accessories, and then after that I will talk about my my warnings with this model. So, first thing you have here is a little Char figurine. Right here you can see I did paint it. I tried my best to paint it. It's really small, and I'm not that great of a painter, but hey, I wanted a little Char, and I think it works out well. I actually took one of the pieces of the tree, cut it off, glued Char to it, and I just put some double-sided tape on it so it's actually a base, because it does not have a base of its own. It's just the Char Aznable with the 2 feet, so that's not that good. However, he does have this little loading crane. I'm not sure how you'd call it, like a scissor lift. I'd say more like a scissor lift, sort of. It's got various different joints on it. It does have little wheels at the bottom. They don't turn, but that's okay. Next up, you have a Zaku 2 machine gun with a little clear piece in there. Various hinge there. Removable magazine with actual ammo inside it, but it is such a pain to get it out. I wouldn't even bother. Of course, he does have the stock there. He does have the adapter for the flight stand. He does have his heat hawk, which is all gray, and you can see it also does have a little clip to put the heat hawk on the side skirt or the back skirt if you want. And finally, you have his Zaku bazooka that pretty much acts like a standard bazooka. You can move this. You can move this. You can actually take the cap of the bazooka, flip it open, and it has a little clear piece inside. Of course, this is on a hinge, this is on a hinge, but this is not on a hinge. That is really problematic, because you can't really get him in most bazooka poses. That is quite the problem. And for option parts, you can remove this, and you can make him a normal Char Zaku 2. Oh, that just looks so wrong to me. Oh god, no. And you can either have his more anime-accurate command fin, or you can give him a more of a space-looking command fin. I'm not really sure what kind of mobile suits use this. I know some kits come with it. I'm actually quite a big fan of this look of the fin, but I'm gonna stick to the anime one. Anime one is just how I know Char. Okay, it's the moment I really didn't want to talk about. The fragile and dumb things about him. Of course, you already know about the tubes. They don't like staying in the legs too well. Another thing is the weapons. How they have this hand system is really... Is cat hair? Thank you. How they do the weapon system is honestly pretty terrible. So you have these holes in the weapons, and you have a peg on the hand. Oh, it just pegs in, right? No problem. Yeah, it pegs in, but it doesn't stay in at all. And the grip of the fingers doesn't do much to help either. And that's with almost every weapon. I'm not sure if this is just my copy for some reason, but it just does not like holding the weapons. The Heat Hawk is the one that holds the best. Yeah, that's the one that holds the best. And don't even get me started on the bazooka. The bazooka is not even... It's just not even. Not even. You can, of course, flip out this panel on the back of the Zaku 2, and you can try to put the bazooka on it. And hey, what do you know? It actually stays in better than it does in his hand. At least I can give him that, but not by much. Another warning right here is this clip right here. I'm going to be honest with you. This is my second Char Zaku 2. I had to get a second one and get some replacement parts from it, and thankfully I was able to return the one that broke, because a couple things broke on this guy, one of which being the clip for the Heat Hawk. Just clip it on and never take it off. I know it looks a little ugly, it's not accurate, but the thing is, if you take it off, this clip is going to snap. It's hard ABS plastic, it's not soft at all. It holds in the Heat Hawk, but it won't take it out and put it in for many times until it breaks. It does serve its purpose though. It clips on the side of them, or more so pegs on the side of them, and hey, it actually stays in really well. Of course, you can wiggle it out pretty easily, but it's not just going to fall out on its own, which is a plus. The rest of the warnings are up here on his gorgeous head sculpt. Of course, that part of the fin right there is really fragile, so if you drop this thing, don't expect that thing to survive. Or in other words, if you don't buy a replacement like I did, you may need to just have this fin, and you may not have a choice with that. Another thing too is the snout. I'm not sure if you can see, but there is a little mold line in the snout where it's made. That's just the mold line. However, that mold line can easily break. I've seen many Zaku 2s. Notably, I've seen Jabi the Hong's Master Grade Zaku 2, and I've seen Counter 656's Zaku 2 with this broken. The way to prevent this from breaking is simple. You just shave off the excess plastic on the snout before you put in the snout piece. Now, I would remove the snout and show you how I did it, but the thing is, I really don't, because it's in there nice, and I don't want to break my Zaku 2. I really don't. And you just have to take a look at some of those prominent people's Zaku 2s, and you'll see how it breaks. My advice is just watch out for that. Make sure you shave down that piece, the gray snout right there, before you put on the red snout part. And just make sure yours don't break, because mine did, and it kind of sucked. Now, for comparison with some other action figures, here he is with the Robot Damashi anime version of Char Zaku 2, one of my favorite Zaku 2 figures. Here it is with the best version of the 1144 model kit, Char Zaku 2, the origin figure. Here it is with the SD Char Zaku 2. As you can see, the SD is pretty small. It has a very peachy red compared to the Master Grade as well as the Robot Damashi. And finally, here's a comparison between the Master Grade Zaku 2 and the kind of competitor, the Real Grade Zaku 2. Certainly share a lot of design elements. Both of them have the turning head, turning eye gimmick. They have very similar accessories. I can tell you the Real Grade holds the weapons way better. However, the Real Grade is a lot more fragile and actually shares the breaking snout problem. So watch out for that, because that's not a pleasant experience actually. I didn't get a replacement Real Grade Zaku 2, so you can see where that snout broke entirely in half. If I can only recommend one Zaku 2 to you, either the Real Grade or the Master Grade, I would certainly go with the Master Grade. The Real Grade fits in with your 1144 collection, and that's a plus. However, the Master Grade is certainly the superior figure, in spite of the fact that it really can't hold its weapons too well. And believe me, both hands can't hold the weapons. So, that stinks. So there you go, guys. There has been my review of the Master Grade Char Zaku 2. I really love this figure. In spite of its flaws, I really do enjoy it. It's one of the more fragile kits I have because, well, it is a Master Grade 1100 and they are more complex than 1144s. These things have full endoskeletons, they have full inner frames, and those are really nice. You can take off the armor parts, actually, and look at the inner frame. I kind of forgot to mention that, but that's also a plus with this kit. And you can just build the whole inner frame. I know the Real Grade has pretty much the pre-built inner frame with all the pre-built limbs and torso and all that, but this inner frame, you have to build it all yourself, and it certainly is a pleasant experience to build it. You feel like you're building a full mobile suit, and I really do enjoy that. So there you go, guys. There has been my review of Char's Zaku 2. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Check my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Discord. How many social medias do I have now? That's pretty much it, guys. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next review. Bye.